In this video, we are going to talk about Pengu or Pudgy penguins, some of its recent price action, the important support and resistance areas, and where we can expect the price of Pengu to go in the next few days and weeks. So we will be looking at the weekly chart, and what you can see here is that Pengu has been significantly dumping since July of 2025. Back then, Pengu rallied all the way up to its all-time high basically and got rejected off of that area and then started dumping basically with no rallies whatsoever all the way until December of 2025. Then it started getting some counter trend rallies, but it did continue to be in a downtrend, although it is not as aggressive as what we've seen in the second half of 2025. It got another rally leading up to May of 2026, but then it continued dumping again and it created this trend line from the highs. And also we have this crucial support area of 0.006, which has behaved the support 3 times now. The first time was back in the October liquidation event, which was an event that led to a huge dump by the entire crypto market back in late 2025. And then in 2026, back in February, Pengu got some support from there again, started consolidating as Bitcoin was getting a relief rally. Bitcoin was rallying from about 60k all the way up to 82k from February to May, and during that time we've seen Pengu start to consolidate and then even get a pretty significant rally. But then once Bitcoin started dumping in May, we've seen Pengu follow it and continue to dump as well. But now Pengu is again at the same area of 0.006 and it is attempting to get support from there again and hold onto it. So this seems to be a very crucial area of support for Pengu. Also guys, if you are enjoying these videos and you want more updates about Pengu as well as other meme coins and altcoins and the rest of the crypto market in general, make sure to subscribe. It helps me way more than you know and it allows me to continue making these videos. So if you are getting any value from these updates, make sure to hit that subscribe button. And now let's continue with the analysis of Pengu. So currently in the last few weeks, Pengu has been consolidating around this area, attempting to get another rally from there. And I do think that it is very possible for Pengu to get another relief rally all the way up to the trend line again. I do not expect it to start to get a trend reversal and start to be in an uptrend. I think that the most likely scenario, even if it does get a rally, is that it will continue with this downtrend. But I do definitely think that it is possible for Pengu to get a rally in the next few weeks. We have already seen Bitcoin get a bit of a rally from 60k all the way up to around 66k, and I think that it is possible for Bitcoin to continue with this rally all the way up to 70 to 75k or so, to around that area. I do expect Bitcoin to create another lower high and not break above the previous high that was at 82k, because Bitcoin is still very clearly in a downtrend and we are in a bear market. But I do definitely think that it is possible for Bitcoin to continue rallying in the next few weeks, and I do definitely think that it is possible for Pengu as well as many other altcoins to follow it and get a relief rally as well. Just like we've seen back in February to May, usually Bitcoin rallies first and it takes at least a few weeks for most altcoins to follow it. We have seen back in February that Bitcoin started rallying, but Pengu was still only consolidating for a couple of months, and only in mid-April we've actually seen Pengu get a rally as well and not just consolidate. So I think that it is definitely possible for something similar to happen this time again, that first we see Pengu consolidating, and then as Bitcoin continues to rally for a couple of months, we eventually see Pengu and other altcoins follow it and get a rally as well. So I definitely think that we could see a rally. This would be a very significant rally for Pengu. The trend line is currently around 1 cent, so I definitely think that it is possible for this rally to happen. Of course, it is not guaranteed whatsoever, but I do think that there is a decent likelihood, and I think that Pengu has a better chance of getting a rally in the next few weeks than many other altcoins. The structure of Pengu, although it is not great and it is still very clearly in a downtrend, the fact that it is still holding onto the support area of 0.006 is quite positive. And the structure of it is better than many other altcoins. It is not that weak. But again, we have to remember that Pengu is still very clearly in a downtrend, and Bitcoin is also in a downtrend as well as most of the crypto market. So even if Pengu does get this rally, I would still be very pessimistic about Pengu in the long term. What would invalidate it is if Pengu manages to cross above this trend line and really above the previous high from back in May. If Pengu gets above 0.012 and closes a weekly candle above it, this would be a very positive sign that could potentially lead to Pengu getting a trend reversal and starting to actually rally much further. But at the moment, it seems pretty unlikely to happen in my opinion, and I think that the much more likely scenarios are either that Pengu gets a rally up to the trend line and then dumps from there, or it just loses this support area right away and dumps from here right away all the way down to the all-time low. I think that the chances of Pengu getting a significant sustainable rally for many months are very slim. And also in general, I'm quite pessimistic about altcoins as a whole. As I said, I think that Bitcoin is still in a bear market despite the recent rallies. It is still very clearly in a downtrend, and I do expect it to eventually go down below 60k in this bear market. I think that even if it does continue the rally up to 70 to 75k, it will probably eventually get rejected at those areas and head all the way back down to 60k and probably even break down below it. And historically in bear markets, altcoins tend to underperform Bitcoin, at least most altcoins. Of course, there can be some exceptions, and Pengu does have a chance of being one of those exceptions. It is not the worst looking altcoin that I've seen, but I do definitely think that it is more likely that it will not be one of those exceptions and that it will underperform Bitcoin in the long term going further into 2026. And I would expect it to eventually go all the way down to the all-time low, and I would not be surprised at all if it even breaks down below the all-time low. Again, there can be some rallies on the way there, and it could happen a long time for it to happen, but I think that it is definitely more likely for Pengu to go all the way down to its all-time low than it is for it to go above this previous high for May, honestly. But of course, with Pengu being such a small market cap meme coin and it is being incredibly volatile, it is always possible for these things to change very quickly. So I will make sure to make more updates and tell you what I'm thinking in real time as things unfold. So make sure to subscribe to not miss that out. But at the moment, I would probably avoid being into Pengu in the long term. Of course, this is not financial advice whatsoever. And I would also avoid being heavy into altcoins as well. I would mostly stick to being into Bitcoin and Ethereum at the moment. And even with them, because we are still in a bear market, I would be very cautious. With altcoins, I would personally only consider being into some very selectively, only the ones that have a very good structure and have some very clear exit signals. And again, since this is a bear market, being cautious is incredibly important. So yeah guys, that's going to be it for this video about Pengu. If you enjoyed it and you want more updates, make sure to subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.